What's happening, Bills Mafia? Ryan Thomas here, back again for another episode of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Of course, what would a Thomas Take Sports Podcast episode be on a Saturday without not just one Saturday, but two Saturdays in a row, two Saturdays in a row with my boy Swank from 24/7 Buffalo Fandemonium. Let's
Ooh,
go.
ooh, you put so much bass in it. I love it. That's turned into Saturday sessions. I love it.
Saturday session. Saturdays with Swank.
Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure as always.
Awesome stuff, man. I'm really happy to have you on once again, which obviously having you on once again means that the Buffalo Bills were able to accomplish what we had hoped. Wasn't without a little bit of, some heartburn, I guess, indigestion, upset stomach.
Yeah,
Fill
it took two
out the
blood
rest.
pressures. Yeah, two blood pressure pills. Yeah.
What to start off the show? What were your thoughts on the Bills Miami? What did you think of the game, and where was your head at, during the game and then after that game?
I mean, first of all, like a win is a win is a win. We're moving on. So I think you know, the national temperature on it. I think it's like kind of trendy to hate on Josh Allen right now. And personally, I love that as motivation for the team, but I think it's undeserved 100%. This dude is still a top 3 quarterback in the league right now. And you're not going to convince me otherwise just because he had kind of a down game where he threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, picks or not. But regardless, I mean, they went 17 nothing up, and it was like the best feeling in the world. It felt like what we predicted last Saturday was destined to happen, and then all of a sudden little things started chipping away, and with that so did my confidence. So it was a ride, man. I really wish they wouldn't have started out the second half the way they did. I really wanted them to put the pedal down and keep it going, but they came out victorious. They found a way to win, as they like to say in that locker room, and that is the only thing that matters. Those are the kind of games that under Dable they would lose. So I'm stoked on the way it turned out. I don't think we can hear you, but I can't hear you, buddy.
Whoops, I must have
Yeah,
clicked
there you
mute
go.
on accident. My bad. Only one. Score one for me. Put it on the board. So what I was saying was, in terms of the playoffs, right? Like, you could go into any playoff game thinking that you're just going to blow out this team because of X, Y, and Z. But I think Miami did prove that it's the playoffs. Anything can happen. They were willing to take far more chances than they're accustomed to during the regular season. If this was a week, 6 or 7 game, they're not going to be going for it as much as they were in the playoff game. They were playing for their lives, fighting for their lives on the road in Orchard Park, and knowing that it's a rivalry between the Bills and Dolphins. So they were pulling out all the stops, and it's pretty funny. Skylar Thompson, the throws that he did make weren't caught. the
I
throws
know.
that the throws that he was making, they weren't being caught. So it makes me wonder, this fab, dynamic duo of the Miami Dolphins, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, they weren't really clutch. And I think they'll go back and check that and think, man, they left some opportunities out there. They did. It was a very close game, but I'm happy to say we came out on the winning end of it and now put it in the rear view as we're inching closer and closer to Sunday, 3 o'clock. We got the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's part 2 of what didn't really get played. part 1 was 10 minutes long. Part 2, let's hope we get a full game. God willing, nobody gets hurt, nobody is taken off the field. Swank, let's get right into it. The people are wondering what our thoughts are on this game. I think a lot of Bills fans, if I were to gauge the temperature, they're a little nervous based on what they saw from the Bills against the Dolphins, and based on how talented we know Joe Burrow is and how deep that Bengals offense is at wide receiver, especially. What are your thoughts just overall heading into the matchup? Like, how are you feeling? I know, you probably felt a little bit stressed after the Dolphins win, but it was too close for comfort. How are you feeling, though, heading into this matchup in terms of the Bills' chances?
Um, I'm feeling confident, man. I think, like I said, I like where things are at right now. I like how people are trying to project like the Bengals are this big underdog coming in here. And this is something that just fascinates me with national sports media, where they can still push this storyline that the Bengals are the underdog coming in, but still somehow morph it to where, Joe Burrow is better than Josh Allen. Like, how does that translate? You know, I think like if you look at the stats, Joe Burrow has like one less interception, and he's a phenomenally well-rounded quarterback. If you're listening to the national media, Josh Allen, he's got one more than Joe Burrow, and he's just falling apart. And the, the sky is falling. And how do we ever believe in this guy? Like the it just switches like that. To me, I like the underdog mentality that the Bills actually have right now. Like the Bengals, to me, don't have any sort of dog in that fight, man. Like the Bills are the underdog, and to me, it's the first time this season they're going into a game as an underdog, or at least the storyline is kind of pushing the Bills at the bottom of the pack, and the Bengals are like that hot little ticket. And I like it like that, man. There's a locker room full of dogs in there, and
Yep.
you're not going to tell me that Stefan Diggs, the Deion Dawkins letter. Come on,
Right.
you know,
Right.
all these leaders. Vaughn coming in with the replica Lombardi Trophy, going to every player, telling them, "You said you'd do anything for this." Oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh, that's why you have that guy. Like I don't. I said it last Saturday. I'll say it again, man. I don't envy any team that's standing between the Buffalo Bills and the Lombardi this year. And that includes the Bengals, especially with the depleted offensive line.
Yeah, I like that thought in terms of the motivation. I feel like, you're flipping through the channels Monday to today, and whether you're looking at ESPN, CBS Sports, any sports channel really, and they do this roundtable of, hey, who you picking, the Bengals or the Bills? And it really seems like it's a majority saying that the Bengals are going to win this game,
Mhm.
and I like that. I feel going into the season, we were the favorites, right? Like all the
Yeah.
sports books had Buffalo as the favorite for the Super Bowl. All the analysts were saying that the Bills were going to win the Super Bowl. And that actually hurt the Bills initially. That's what created this pressure, this angst, this kind of go for broke every single down because we're supposed to be this, we're supposed to be that. Everybody's saying that we're supposed to be this and that. Where when the Bills have their backs against the wall and they're playing in a game that nobody expects them to win, that's when they show up and play their best football. It's very odd how one team can play up to a challenge and sometimes that same team can play down to a challenge,
Yeah.
which is what happened last week with the Bills and the Dolphins, to be quite honest. I mean, they played down to the level of their opponent, which the quality of their opponent was not that great, and that's why we didn't play that well in certain moments of that game. I believe it was Dawson Knox who was on the West Her podcast with a good buddy of mine, Bradley Jalber, and he said and this was like week one, early on this season. They'd just beaten, actually, yeah, it was after week one. They'd just beaten the defending Super Bowl champions, the Rams, in LA, by the way, for those of you that have forgotten that. And he said the only team that's going to beat us is ourselves. Like there is no team out there that we feel like we can't beat them.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when the going gets tough, can we respond? Can we be what we need to be? Can we do what we need to do? And I feel like that's been the Bills' MO, honestly, for better or for worse, for the better part of the last 3 years.
Yeah.
We could be talking about a team, frankly, that has played in the last couple Super Bowls if, in fact, they didn't beat themselves.
Hmm.
Possibly won the last couple Super Bowls if, in fact, they didn't beat themselves. In terms of just being this close to getting there, I mean, the AFC Divisional round, we're right here back again. This is where things came to an end last season. We're playing a different opponent. And you mentioned, Joe Burrow and his ability and the things that he can do. I know the national media loves him, and rightfully so. I like Joe Burrow. He's one of those
Sure.
quarterbacks that I really like as well. But looking at this game, looking at both quarterbacks, I want to dive into this a little bit deeper. Josh Allen, for the folks at home, has thrown more interceptions this year than he did last year. He's had 16 fumbles as well. 6 of those fumbles, though, were lost.
Hmm.
So you mean to tell me out of 16 fumbles, we got 10 of them back? Do those the ones lost are the ones that count to me?
Yeah.
Getting him back is getting him back. Oftentimes, as we watch the Bills closely every single week, Josh Allen, when he does fumble, rarely is it an occasion where we're on the wrong side of the field when he fumbles.
Hmm.
Usually it's when we're on a drive and there's pressure because it's 3rd and 5 or whatever. Buffalo's going to spread things out with who they have and try to fire the football into the end zone. And Josh Allen's willingness to extend a play, while great and while better than any other quarterback in the league, it can also create more opportunity for the defense to take the ball away from them via interception or fumble.
I say
So,
it's always that guy coming around the blind side. He's holding on to the
yes,
ball just for a tick too long, and
yep,
that's what happened on the fumble return for a touchdown.
exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe not stepping up into the pocket when he's supposed to or something like that. We're getting some comments coming in. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Frederick Bastian says, "Go Bills."
Go
Rob
Bills.
Mullen, he said, agreed. The Bills did play down to the Finns.
What's up, Rob?
Angel says, "Good afternoon from Kernersville, North Carolina. Go Bills. I feel like this is the week the dam breaks." All right,
Yes.
I like that. Mark D. Brown says, "We need to run the ball, establish a run game, and then open up the pass." And Christopher Roseborough says, "Let's go Buffalo." Rob Mullen, I'm going to answer this question. This was the next one. He said, "That's the tough part, Ryan. How to govern what Josh is doing on the field." I want to talk to you about this, Swank, and I'm
Yeah.
really glad that Rob brought this up. There is a statistic out there that's kind of new. It's the equivalent of, in baseball, wins above replacement. It's a WAR is a big statistic, I think, in baseball as well as in football now, but more so in baseball. It's more commonly used because guys go in and out of the lineup. There's 162 freaking games, for crying
Yeah.
out loud. So Josh Allen this season has accounted for what is the equivalent of 91% of Buffalo's offensive production. No quarterback is even in the mid 80s, let alone 90%. The next highest was Joe Burrow at 85%. So it was like Pat Mahomes 83, Joe Burrow 85, Josh Allen 91. You can find it on all those analytics websites. I think it's DVOA or something like that,
Hmm.
as well. That's another category that Allen ranks high in. We talked about a little bit last week in terms of Ken Dorsey and how he's dialing things up. And I think, to Rob's point, how to govern what Josh is doing on the field. They're asking so much of this one player. Granted, he's the quarterback, it's a quarterback driven league, but we see what's going on in San Francisco with a guy by the name of Brock Purdy. They're not really asking him to do a whole lot. They're just asking him to get the ball out of his hand quick and get it into his playmakers and let them do the rest. Debo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. Josh Allen is being asked to be the main passer, he's being asked to be the main runner, and he's being asked to carry the offense by getting the ball into the playmakers' hands. What do you think in terms of the game plan this week, Buffalo? What do you think they need to do differently to just dial it down for Allen a little bit in comparison to what we've seen of him just being over relied upon this season?
Well, I think it goes back to what you and I were saying last Saturday, that we wanted the game plan to be against Miami, right?
Hmm.
I think James Cook, I
Right,
think I'm looking at these stats right now. Last week, James Cook had 12 attempts for 39 yards and a touchdown. That touchdown was huge. That was a big run.
right.
If Baltimore
Untouched, by the way, untouched.
completely untouched, that the kid is fluid. He's got style.
Yeah.
Um, if you're looking at the blueprint that the Ravens put out there, and we had Mark Maddox on Tuesday on the K-Gun
Yep.
Report, and he was saying, blueprint, whatever, you're still going to play your game. When you're out there, you play your defense. You might tailor it a little bit because of what somebody else had success with, but it's still your game, right? So if you're taking that, the left side of that defensive line, they had a second string running back blowing them up, and Huntley for the Ravens is not even. I wouldn't even call him a half of what a Josh Allen is, right?
Not even a quarter, I
Right.
would say.
Like it's weird because you watch Josh Allen run and you're like, oh my god, that dude's so big and fast, and you get used to it because that's what we've seen. And then I watch this guy and I'm like, go ahead, go. I was rooting the Ravens on just like everybody else that's in Bills Mafia. But dude, when he was getting towards the sideline, I was like, wow, that guy's slow. Like he could beat me, sure, but like he's slow compared to Josh Allen. So now I'm thinking like, okay, that left side of the line, not only did they have success with the quarterback rushes, but they also had success running it just straight up to the left side of the line. So I'm thinking, to me, that's the key. Soften them up on that left side. Start jamming it right down their throat. A couple design runs, but get James Cook, get Devin Singletary, get Hines out there, for God's sake, and
Right.
really work that left side, opening them up with the run, and then you know I want to see a lot more crossers, short completions. I love the bombs, and I defended the play calling for last week just because when they work, everybody's like, yeah. And when they don't, everybody's like, what are you doing? Obviously that double bomb call to Gabe on the left sideline and then the sack. That's the series everybody wants to talk about. And I agree. I wouldn't have done that. But I heard Patrick Mahomes in an interview say, doesn't matter what the down is or the distance or the play, if one of his guys is single covered on the outside, he's throwing him the ball every time.
Right. Yeah, and evaluating Allen's performance last week and the frustrations that people have with it, you watch, we the people that analyze this stuff, they watch a lot of football, right? Like
Yeah.
you watch a lot of football, I watch a lot of football. The people that are tuning into the show right now, they're tuning in because they watch a lot of football as well. If you watch a lot of football, and to the people that have been really overly critical of Allen over the last, 5 or 6 days, you would see that Miami literally dared him, said, hey, we're not going to put two DBs on Stephon Diggs. We're going to put him in single coverage. If Josh Allen doesn't throw the ball Stephon Diggs' way and steps up and tries to run into a pocket that is just a brick wall of Miami Dolphins players, then we'd have a problem.
Sure.
But Josh Allen actually tried to take chances. And for the first half, it was working. For the second half, it wasn't working. And to my point on this, I feel like the reason it worked in the first half and the reason it didn't work in the second half is because Buffalo did get into their own head. They
Mhm.
did get a little bit antsy and a little bit like, oh, the sky's falling a little bit on us. We're home. We're playing the Miami Dolphins. We're supposed to win this game. We're the Buffalo Bills. We're this. We're that. All that stuff tomorrow needs to go away.
Yeah.
Just play your game. Play your game. Do your job. P's and Q's, cross the T's, dot the I's. We know how we can win games. We can win games a lot of different ways. I think that's what makes a team dangerous is when they can win games in multiple ways.
Yeah.
But we don't consistently have to rely on Josh Allen to do it every single week. They have guys on this team. There was a comment that Mark D. Brown threw down there that I put up. They have three legit backs that can produce.
Yeah.
Whether you, however you want to use them, each one of them can produce. So, Dawson Knox is being thrown out there as somebody that one of the comments that was left, Ismail Valentin said that he feels that Dawson Knox left 2 touchdowns and lead the way. That's what I'm asking. I'm asking for just more variety, more
Yeah.
variety. And I think, going into next off season, a lot of articles, a lot of beat writers, a lot of people will say, myself included, that maybe the priority, the weakness of the offense is that number 2 wide receiver spot. Is beyond Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. I love the guy. I think he's going to be a Buffalo Bill for a long, long time. He's not going anywhere, and I don't want him to go anywhere. But in terms of the regression, there was a little bit of a regression this year especially compared to the end of last season.
Hmm.
Um, and this brings up another topic, and I know we're still in the season. I know we got the AFC divisional round, but this is one that I want to um, ask you about. Okay, so I'm on social media, as you know, and I'm scrolling through. I'm talking with some people, and I just so happen to see a NFL player commenting and corresponding, and this kind of got blown under the radar. No one's really noticed it yet, but it's going to bubble to the surface. Soon to be free agent wide receiver Adam Thielen, expected free agent wide receiver Adam Thielen, former Minnesota Vikings teammate of Stephon Diggs, is expected to be a free agent, 32, 33, I believe, heading into next season. 1 year deal, let's just say. And I just want to throw this out there. I know we got a playoff game tomorrow, folks. I
Yeah.
understand that. I'm going to get to it. But I want to throw this out there for Swank. I want to talk about this a little bit myself, of course, and throw this back out there to the people that are tuning into the show. Adam Thielen next season as a Bill. What's your take on that?
I mean, it seems like a move that could happen for sure. I think Bean and McDermott like a little bit of veteran leadership in any part of their locker room. I think Diggs has that whole thing under control right now. And you got Bees and Brown, who probably won't be here next season, right? Um, I don't know. I think it's interesting. Obviously, him and Diggs got a relationship. It could be a great option. They really haven't utilized. They didn't utilize him this year at all with the emergence of Justin Jefferson. Probably the past 2 seasons, and you would think that 1-2 punch would have been gnarly. But I guess
Right.
back when Diggs was there, like Thielen was the man, right? Like he's the one that kind of emerged, and then Diggs was kind of the second option. I don't know. It's interesting, man. You know, who else is out there? You know, is there any other names out there? I'll throw this to you.
All
after
right.
your
Okay.
after
All
your
right.
Adam Thielen, after your Adam Thielen take, is there any other names that you got your eye on?
To be honest with you, the only one that would really jump out at me in terms of like, okay, immediate impact guy potentially would be OBJ, and that's
Yeah.
the one that's consistently been thrown around. But if you were to ask me who would I rather have, Adam Thielen or OBJ, to be honest with you, I'd probably rather have Thielen, just
Yeah.
based on OBJ's injury issues, based on OBJ's personality or too much of, or sometimes lack
His,
thereof in
his
terms of competitiveness.
his flight habits.
His flight habits, we could throw that out there as well. And just his, the whole thing with, the fact that he was out there a free agent. They say he's healthy when he really wasn't healthy. And I think that raises a lot
Yeah.
of question marks. I mean, Dallas, of any team that has the resources to really dive into a player's health, it's Dallas. And they came back and said OBJ he's not ready to play. So makes you wonder how serious is that knee injury. Um, we got a comment here from Rob Mullen. He said Thielen is a proven route runner and Gade did not adequately fill the wide receiver two spot, I should say. So if we make room under the cap, I'd like to see it. I agree. I
Yeah.
think that that's a move that it crossed my mind, and then I saw Adam Thielen kind of post a very vague tweet in regards to it. And let's face it. I mean, all the national media can kick rocks in terms of who would you rather have, Josh Allen or Kirk Cousins? I
Yeah.
don't even
Yeah.
mic
Get
drop.
out
I
of here.
mean, come on, get out of here. Get out of here. Go away. Shut your mouths. Get out of my face. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
The fact that Thielen could be out there, and it's more likely than not that he's going to be a free agent because the Vikings are trying to make cap space to actually give Justin Jefferson what's probably going to be the highest contract that any wide receiver has ever had.
Yeah.
So could be upwards of 25 to 30 million a year for all we know. So um, Rob Mullen also throws out there other free agents: Nelson Aguilar, Sterling Shepard, DJ Chark. You could call him DJ Shark as well because he
Yeah.
is a shark on the field. Misspelled there by Rob, but no problem, Rob. Appreciate the support and the comment. DJ Chark, that's someone I really like. So that's
Yep.
another one. Add some size, add some speed and size. Uh, Aguilar, Sterling Shepard, maybe. I'd probably rather have Thielen than those guys.
Hmm.
Um,
Especially
my,
with the age factor. I think I'd rather have Thielen than a Shepard or yeah. No,
yeah, and even Thielen, even if let's just say Thielen's a little bit older than Aguilar or Shepard, he's never hurt.
mhm.
He's for the majority of his career, he's always been healthy. So I think I started something here. I
Yeah,
hope that I see more people saying, "Hey, I wouldn't mind Adam Thielen," because I wouldn't either. So
yeah, why not?
I like it. So next talking point to discuss here, as I mentioned, we actually circled around. So Allen and Burrow, I want your take on just Joe Burrow. How do you see him as one of the quarterbacks in this league? What is it about him that makes you feel like he's always going to be doing battle with either Allen or Mahomes in that top three?
I mean, aside from like the natural physical gifts that he has, he's one of the most pro ready quarterbacks that ever came out of the draft, in my opinion. I know a lot of people were beating the drum uh, before, that he's like one of those like guys that they'd put out the Twitter polls like, would you rather have Josh Allen or Joe Burrow? Right? Like, I think Burrow is he's just all around a great pocket passing quarterback. He's got all the confidence in the world, but he's also got three huge wide receivers at his disposal, and a good tight end pickup that they did, and a solid running back tandem in the backfield. You know, I see him being able to produce in this league for a very long time, and yeah, it's going to be one of those things, man. You're going to hear Allen, Mahomes, and Burrow for the next 10 years plus
Mhm.
always battling. They're the next, Brady Rogers Breeze, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that. I like Rob Mullins' comparison of Montana. That's not a name you throw around lightly. You only put that
Yeah,
name out there for a reason. In terms of his poise, in terms of his composure, in terms of what he was thrusted into. I mean, they were bottom of the barrel, definite first overall, pick. They sucked so bad one could say they earned that first overall pick,
yeah,
despite the fact that they were so terrible. And the fact is, I think more than anything, Josh Allen and Joe Burrow have something truly in common. Both of these guys had to bust their rear ends to get to where they are.
yeah,
Maybe Joe Burrow did have a great college career. I won't say maybe, he definitely did at LSU. But to get the exposure, to get people to notice them, it wasn't easy for Joe Burrow. If initially he went from Ohio State, he had to transfer to LSU. Certainly wasn't easy for Josh Allen. He had to beg a university to give him a scholarship after he spent 2 years in community college. So, and no team would give him a scholarship initially coming out of high school. So he had to go play at Reedley for a couple years.
hmm,
Um, to me, though, that's the story between those two guys, is that they're both extremely hard workers. They both came from being passed upon, whether it was the university or people just saying that they weren't going to do what they eventually went on to do. So it's pretty awesome for me to see both of these guys at the top of the league and know that they respect one another. They're good buddies. They train together in the off season with was the Jordan Palmer,
yep,
right? So I'm definitely excited to see these two guys in action tomorrow. I'm hoping, obviously, for a Bills win, but respect to Joe Burrow. You made a point that Joe Burrow and Josh Allen will be doing battle for quite some time. Um, my comparison to Joe Burrow, to be quite honest with you, Joe Montana, that's a good one. I see a lot of Peyton Manning. I really do. And I don't throw that name around lightly because for me, Peyton Manning's one of the best to ever do it. Josh Allen, I feel is his own. Like I can't really. I mean, Big Ben, you can compare him. Philip Rivers, you could throw his name out there. Aaron Rodgers,
Cam
any one of
Newton.
those three guys. Cam Newton, that's another one. But really, these two guys, I think, along with Pat Mahomes, are going to change the way the game is played, change the way the position is evaluated as well. So, just wanted to touch on that. Win, lose, or draw. Respect to Joe Burrow for what he's done in his career
100%.
thus far. So let's go to some comments here. I want to fire away some. Um, we got some interesting ones. Cincy front office has done everything for Burrow, including quality names in free agency this year for their O-line, despite the injuries acquired this season. And that's my next talking point. I know we talked about kind of your thought process heading in from this one, from Miami to this one, I should say. What worries you about this matchup in particular with Cincinnati? How do you feel like Cincinnati could potentially give Buffalo problems?
I think my main concern is that three-headed monster they got at wide receiver, right?
Hmm.
I think the two deep safeties, we play a lot of that anyway. That's the best way to attack them. Try and take Chase and Higgins out of the game, and let them get those little crossers and slants and short stuff. And that's really the recipe that the Bills defense and Leslie Frazier puts out to play the Kansas City Chiefs, who we've played at least 3,000 times in the last 4 years.
Right.
So I think they're well prepared for that kind of a high powered, high flying offense, offense. And the secondary seems to be gelling. It seems like everybody's starting to get a little more familiar, regular. Our boy Trey White is starting to laugh and have fun and make those all pro plays that we know he can make. You got Jordan Poyer playing possibly for his last season. That video, I couldn't even open it, man. The boy sent me, and I was, ugh.
Mm.
But I still think, with all respect, you have to be aware of where those three dudes are on the field at all times. Even if you're taking the two deep options away, you still just need to be on your P's and Q's, your assignments to a dot. And then hopefully our own all pro, Mr. Matt Milano, can sneak in there, maybe get a hand on a ball. Maybe Taron Johnson can do what he does. I really think that's it right there. Getting pressure on Burrow, controlling those three guys.
If I were to pick one Buffalo Bill, and I can't even believe I'm going to say this, but
Uh-oh.
if I were to pick one Buffalo Bill that reminds me of a young RT in his prime playing days, it's Matt Milano, baby.
Oh man, I
All
can
day
see it in
long.
your face.
All
It's all
day,
in the face.
all day long. Just the run stuffing, the ability to get the defense going, um,
Yeah.
the hit to the playing to the whistle. I mean, Matt Milano, man, that guy makes me remember when I played football, and I'm like, that if I could have been a quarter of what he eventually was, I wouldn't be sitting here,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's all right. But I'd rather sit here, I don't
Yeah.
need those injuries. But to your point, uh, the fact that they have this three-headed monster. They have Jamar Chase. They have T. Higgins. Joe Mixon. I don't really like Joe Mixon as a person, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, me
Kind
either.
kind of a dirtbag.
Yep.
Not kind of, pretty much is.
Hey, get back
I
in.
yeah yeah. But the one thing that scares me about this matchup more than anything is number one, Jamar Chase. This guy is one of the best receivers in the NFL. He's one of the best receivers I've ever seen. So much so that in the 24/7 Buffalo Fandemonium fantasy draft, I took him because I was
Mhm.
just like, okay, this guy's a monster. And if I get Stephon Diggs with him, I will faint in terms of my joy. But that didn't happen. And
Yeah.
I ended up stuck with Mike Williams. Then both of them got hurt. And it's a story for another day. But what I honestly what I honestly feel in terms of Jamar Chase is that Joe Burrow could drop back into the pocket with his eyes closed, know that Jamar Chase is on the left side of the field, and Jamar Chase will go get the ball. Like the chemistry that those guys have after playing together for 7, 8 years, dating back to
Yeah.
their days at LSU. Like no team has that. No team has that quarterback wide receiver connection. And I think that connection is largely why they were not only in the Super Bowl last year, but why Cincinnati overall is just so confident heading into any matchup offensively, because you got a quarterback that's a gamer, you got a wide receiver that's just elite in every way, shape, or form, and T. Higgins isn't so bad either.
No.
So those guys are ballers, and they really play fun football. So that's what's going to make this matchup so exciting. Um, let's go to some more comments.
Sure.
Bobby Joe Eade says we have excellent players too. The Bengals are in for a surprise. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go. So to Bobby's point, we do have some excellent players. You mentioned James Cook, who you want to see more from. We
Yes,
talked
sir.
about we talked about Dawson Knox. Dive in for the folks at home to your overall take on, I think, the playmaker on the Buffalo Bills, Stephon Diggs. Like, what do you think of Diggs in terms of his game right now? In terms of heading into this game?
I think stats be damned. I don't care what metric you're using. He is the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. I would say that without question, without hesitation. I think he's a great teammate. I think he's got a great drive. I think he produces on such an elite level when people when the team needs it, and every aspect of the game, absolutely every aspect of the game. And I think it's really funny that he's kind of being slept on, and
Oh
it
yeah,
blows my
big
mind.
time, big time.
Nobody's talking about him this weekend. And you know, T. Higgins, great. Chase, great. Stephon Diggs.
Boom.
Stephon Diggs. You could throw that dude at double coverage, triple coverage. We've seen it. He makes things happen. He's got a swagger and an attitude and just the heart for this game, man. That like I know we keep talking about wide receiver too. I know we wanted Gabe to do more. I know we wanted Isaiah McKenzie to get in the mix more. All this stuff. Isaiah, whatever. But
Hmm.
Gabe, Gabe still produced what 800 yards regular
Yeah,
season.
and that's the point. Like
Yeah.
statistically, for these guys to have a down year like Gabe Davis, he in terms of targets and catches, he didn't have as great a year as he did last year,
Hmm.
but production is there. Like that just shows you that even when this team is not performing at their fullest potential, they're still pretty damn good. They're still 13-3. And all this talk from Ryan Clark, and I like Ryan Clark a lot, but you
Hmm.
lose me when you say Josh Allen suffered regression. And I want to desperately dive into this
Oh, I
as far as his regression goes.
I
And
mean,
yeah,
it's a lateral move. Where's the regression? I get okay, the interceptions in the red zone, totally. I will agree with you. But other than that, statistically, while missing a game, he is on pace or better than he was last year. So
right.
where is the regression? Is it the decision making? Is it his elbow? Is it whatever? I mean, the minimalistic regression that we're talking about blows my mind. Is there any other team in the NFL that can be 13-3, go through all the adversity this team has? I mean, we went through this whole timeline last week, and there's still stuff that I'm thinking about that I was like, we didn't even hit it all. You said like
Right.
8 things, and you didn't even hit it all.
Right.
13-3, second seed in the AFC, and you're still finding stuff to bitch about. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. But
RT, oh, sorry, real
oh yeah,
fast.
yeah, sure, sure.
Did you see this tweet that I did from Florio a couple days ago, the 19th?
I didn't. Fill me
Okay,
in.
it's a retweet, and this stat blew my mind, completely blew my mind.
Yeah.
Most pass touchdowns of 10 plus air yards by a QB receiver duo in the last 2 seasons. It's the top four. Okay,
Yep.
number one, Josh Allen to Gabe Davis. He's had 18 TDs. They've had a connection to 18 TDs, 10 yards or more. Number two, your boy Joe Burrow and James Chase or Jamar Chase,
Hmm.
17. Number three on that list, you got a guess?
Allen to Diggs.
Allen to Diggs, 16. You know who number four on this list is?
Allen to Knox.
Allen to Knox, 13.
Boom.
You're a man. You are a man. Are you kidding me?
I didn't even see that tweet. I swear to God, I
Dude,
guessed it. I
dude,
fully guessed it.
you're dead on. But like when I saw that, because Florio was one of the ones this week that I was watching, and I'm like, man, they're just dogging Josh Allen, dogging this team. And like, I love it. Go ahead. Don't pick them. I'd rather not. But he posted this list after I saw like a live stream of him talking, and I'm like, what's everybody talking about? like, like Joe Burrow's got one guy on this list. The other three spots are Josh Allen and his top three receivers.
Oh,
I
I
don't.
mean, and that just goes to show you, like, you need one quarterback to just chuck it and to do it in a way that's accurate.
Mhm.
Nobody's got a better deep ball than Josh Allen.
No.
Nobody's got a better arm in this league than Josh Allen. Nobody has the athleticism at the quarterback position that Josh Allen has, even including the uber athletic yet underpaid and frustrated Lamar Jackson.
Yes. Yeah.
So, throwing that out there, I don't understand it either. I know last week was last week. They played the Miami Dolphins, they won. Okay. Rather than talking about the bad part, which is what we kind of talked about at the beginning,
Mhm.
I look at Miami's game like this. They won the game by 3 points. They were up in the game 17 to nothing. Then it was 17 to 17. Josh Allen had 42 seconds to go down the field and put the Bills in some sort of field goal range and or touchdown. They got a field goal. That was the difference in the entire game.
Yeah.
And nobody, ultimately, that was the difference. And nobody gave Allen any credit for leading the offense down the field to kick a field goal with automatic Tyler Bass. I don't understand how other quarterbacks can do the exact same thing
Heroes.
and they're legends,
Mhm.
heroes,
Mhm.
icons,
Yep.
and I don't understand it. The reason I think it is because Josh Allen's playing the quarterback position in a way that nobody has played it before, and they don't like it. It's almost like you don't want to see someone do something different and do something different well, because then it goes against everything that you have ever said about the position, everything that you've ever studied and put out there. It's like, well, shame on you. If you feel like that's not good enough, you feel like that he shouldn't play that way and he's playing well that way, kick rocks.
Yeah.
Again, get out of my face.
Hey man, we've heard it throughout our whole lives.
Right.
Mobile quarterbacks cannot win championships. I heard that from the time I was little. You're talking about Cunningham, you're talking about McNabb, you're talking about Michael Vick, you're talking about Warren Moon, you're talking about all these dudes that were mobile. They're gadgety. Colin Kaepernick, he got figured out in a year. What politics or not, I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm just saying,
Hmm.
mobile quarterbacks, traditionally, you need a pocket passer for this league. And all of a sudden, these dudes started breaking the mold. You had
Right.
Mahomes, you had Josh Allen, you got people diving in, wanting these hurts, wanting these guys that like can be multiple, run RPOs, be a quadruple threat at any point, like, and that's now where the attention is turning. Everything you said, absolutely. I think they don't want Josh Allen to be the guy. I don't think they want the style of the game to play. I don't think they want the guy to be here
Right.
in a small market football area. I think they want that guy to be down in Jersey or in LA. They don't want him to be in Buffalo. What the hell are we going to do with that? So you start dogging them. I don't know.
As if Buffalo doesn't have a big chip on their shoulder as a city anyway.
Yeah.
Just add more fuel to the fire and just piss us off even more, just so we can bite your kneecap off to take a Dan Campbell line. We're
Burn
the
it
ones,
all.
we're the ones biting off kneecaps, not the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
So yeah, so my next question, we talked about Stephon Diggs. I feel like the guy is the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL. It's disgusting
Mhm.
how you never hear about him every single week, when we should. To me, I'm gonna say it. Yeah, I said it. Remember? Yeah, I
Yeah.
said it. We hear that on Sunday sessions and the K Gun Report. Oh man, I'm gonna get some heat for this one.
Uh-oh.
I might, because there's a lot of people out there that love the other guy, and I love him too. But to me, this game is a lot different than years past. And you go to the legends of the team. First Bills jersey I ever asked my parents for Christmas, Eric Moulds, who, by the way, is leading the charge tomorrow.
Awesome.
Music to my ears when I saw that, or when I heard that, I should say. Um, but to me, Stephon Diggs ranks among the top Buffalo Bills wide receivers to ever wear the Buffalo Bills red, white, and blue. As soon as he got here, Josh Allen got better. That's no coincidence.
Oh yeah.
Josh Allen got better for a lot of reasons, but Stephon Diggs certainly helped. Um, I know Andre's number one. He's going to be number one. He's always going to be number one. until somebody plays here for 20 years like he did.
Yeah.
But Stephon Diggs the second best ever to ever be on this team at wide receiver? Does he surpass Eric Moulds? Is he ahead of some of the other, Nate James Lofton? Is he ahead of those guys?
Lee Evans, all
Lee
those guys.
Evans? Yeah.
I'll say without hesitation, yes, absolutely. Number two. I don't think that there is anything that you can do or say. I love those guys. I love Lee Evans. I love Eric Moulds. I love all of them. Man, I love Don Beebe. You know,
Peerless Price.
he was
My guy Peerless
yeah.
Price.
David Nelson, Stevie Johnson, give them all to me. I love all of them, man. But I'm telling you right now, you cannot put their resumes up on the wall next to Stephon Diggs and what he has been able to accomplish and help this team and help Josh Allen
Mhm.
accomplish without giving him his props. He has not had 1,000-yard season, double-digit touchdown receptions, playoff appearances, playoff wins.
Yes.
Like there's just so much that goes with it. And yeah, man, I mean, I think people are really quick to jump the Josh Allen, Jim Kelly conversation,
Hmm.
right? And I think that and maybe I'm wrong, and you guys help us out in the comments here if I'm wrong. I think that people have pretty much seceded that Josh Allen is like that next notch above Jim Kelly. Maybe he hasn't accomplished quite that much, and I'm not trying to piss anybody off because I love Jim
Right.
Kelly, but
Right.
he's notching them out, starting to take records, doing all that stuff. Um, and I think that conversation is almost safer to have than the one we're having right now, right? Because there's people that they'll die on that mountain for any of those guys we mentioned. But I wholeheartedly think Stephon Diggs, number two, without a question.
And I'll throw this out there too. Why did Minnesota trade him? And that's another okay. Why did Minnesota trade him? Well, like the mo was that he was frustrated. He wasn't getting
Yeah,
the ball enough.
yeah,
He was sulking on the sideline. He was
not a
frustrated.
team guy.
He was not a team guy. He was
Yeah,
throwing the and I'm saying this sarcastically, folks.
yeah.
The great Kirk Cousins under the bus, who's throwing the great Kirk Cousins. God forbid, he's been worth every cent that they've paid him over the last
Oh
X
yeah.
amount of years. He's so good, so great.
Hmm.
Um, they trade him away to the Buffalo Bills, and Buffalo's like one of the only three teams that are even interested because his reputation was so damaged by those reports in Minnesota. And
By
the guy,
Minnesota. Yeah,
the guy is a saint. He,
yeah.
he is a wonderful person. Like
Amazing.
like he is probably one of the nicest guys that's ever played in the NFL. He does a lot of stuff for kids that goes completely unnoticed, and he
Hmm.
he doesn't care that it does. He's doing it in private. He doesn't want the adulation for the stuff that he does for charity and what he does with his brother, who's also a really great player in his own right, albeit I hate the team he plays for, but
Yeah.
we can't control that, right? But yeah, Stephon Diggs is just, I can't say enough about him. And I love the fact that he is that guy on the sideline that even when we didn't know whether or not the Bills were going to be playing in that game against Cincinnati, continuing play, he was in guys' faces because he knew that at one point that game meant everything. And those guys were very upset. Those guys were distraught. And he was saying, hey, guys, DeMar would want us to play this game. He would want
Yeah.
us to finish this game. We got to get it in gear here. And ultimately, that's not what happened. But Stephon Diggs was that guy that was leading the team. I think he's just as big of a leader on this team as Josh Allen, if not potentially bigger.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah, props to Diggs, man. Props to Diggs. Second to Andre, for sure. Scott says consecutive 100 catch and 1,000 yard seasons would suggest so.
Wait, that's kind of snarky, Scott. I don't like your tone.
It's a little a little snarky this morning from Scott. I don't know though.
Alrighty, brother.
I'm not putting words in his mouth. But is Scott saying that Diggs is number one all time? I don't
Oh,
know.
I
I'm
like
throwing
throwing
that.
that, throw that heat on him.
I'm
Yeah.
throwing that back to. And I mean, if he did, I don't know if I disagree with it, man. I mean, this is a different. It's a different Andre Reed's Andre Reed.
Yeah, man, I can't.
I can't go against Andre Reed over the
Yeah.
middle, 83 all day long.
Let
But
me see what the next 4 years bring. If he
Right.
brings, hey, listen, I'll tell you what. If Stephon Diggs is part of the team that brings home a Lombardi this season, let's have that discussion the day after. Well, let's
That's
do
a
a
good
couple
one.
days. Let's do a couple days after because I'll probably have a headache.
I'm gonna be hungover for a whole month
Yeah,
after that
at
after
least
that one
till the draft.
to the draft, right? I won't even give a crap about the draft, to be honest with you. I won't care about anything.
Oh God, I'll wear that till I die, man. It's like I don't care. They drafted
Like
four
my
kickers. I don't care.
people be like, "Hey, Ryan, did you see this mock draft?" I don't give a rat's. The Bills won the Super Bowl. I don't care.
Yep, that's it.
That's awesome.
Mm.
So as far as takeover players in this one, I like to say takeover players because it's like my thing.
Yeah,
Guys taking over. Uh, who do you think will take over this game for the Buffalo Bills? We talked about their offense a lot, but I want to give you the opportunity. I know you love watching some sacks. You love watching some strip fumbles. You love watching some ints, some hard cracks, some smackdown from the defense of the Buffalo Bills. Who do you think is going to take this game over, Swank?
you know, I love Group, and I think I don't know. I love watching everything he does. I love this relationship with Von Miller. I really want to see him take hold. But the thing is, early in first quarters, he'll have great success, and then they'll just double him, triple him, all that stuff. So for me, the potential to take over is opposite that side of him. And I'm going to go and cheat a little bit and say it's going to be the tandem of AJ Epinesa and Shaq Lawson coming in on that other side, getting their opportunities, maybe a little bit leaking into that interior line. But I say between Epinesa and Lawson, I'm looking for 3 sacks split between them at minimum. They need to get to him and get to him a lot. Most sack quarterback in the league 2 years running, right? Like,
Yeah,
we got to get him.
man, what a take. That is a hell of a take because Shaq Lawson's gone virtually unnoticed as well. I mean,
Yep.
since Von Miller, had his season-ending injury, unfortunately, Shaq Lawson's kind of fallen under the radar for how he stepped up. Um, I love that take. I really do. I'd love to see that. My take in this one, in terms of takeover players, I think that we will see the rise to elite status of Kyer Elam. I've liked what I've seen from
Yeah.
Kyer Elam these last few weeks. I know Trey White as well is getting better. I think those guys could actually be peaking at the right time, as well as Trey White's health, getting healthier at the right time, and how they eased him into the action. I think originally I was against that. And I actually think they knew, well, they did. They knew far more than I did in terms of whether they should phase him in or not. And I feel like Trey White being phased in has actually helped him tremendously in terms of getting back to full strength. So I predict that Kyrie Elam will have another interception,
I like it.
and I think Trey White could have one as well, because we didn't mention yet, but the Bengals are banged up. They're banged up on that offensive line. Joe Burrow's been sacked more than any quarterback, as you mentioned. The last 2 years consecutively. Alex Kappa's out. Jonah Williams is out, and they're not really known for their offensive line in general. So if they're not known for their offensive line in general, they're certainly not known for their offensive line depth
Yes.
behind those guys, right? So, wow. I mean, I think Ed Oliver could have a day. I think the defense could have a day in this one. This might be a game where we go back and say the Bills' defense was what got it done, largely in terms of shutting down Joe B and company. So, yeah, man, I'm really loving that on the defensive side. How about the offensive side? Who do you see really taking over?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a little bit. Maybe not the so beaten path on this one, or off the beaten path, maybe a little bit, right? Uh, I'm falling, man. I'm pushing all the chips in. I think playoff Gabe Davis is back. I think that you are going to see not only my boy Stefan get his, but everybody who's talked about Chase and Higgins and Boyd this week. You're going to get a taste of Gabe Davis and Stefan Diggs, and I think your boy Gabe is going to get 2 touchdowns this week.
Ooh, I like that. And you know what? You definitely are on the same page as me because it seems like Gabe Davis took Von Miller's show and tell,
Yeah,
replica trophy, sounds like he took it to heart, took it pretty seriously. And I say that, in a respectful way in terms of Diggs seeing that replica trophy, thinking to himself, I had 4 freaking touchdowns in that divisional game against Kansas City. It's one of the greatest games ever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Gabe Davis. I'm Gabe Davis. Who's Gabe Davis? He could be a game breaker. When
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs is double teamed, Gabe Davis can be the next best thing. So I'm with you there. I hope that happens. I'd love to see it. Dawson Knox, I feel like he's ready to really be seen, especially when you hear this talk of Travis Kelce's so great. This tight end's so great. Dawson Knox is pretty good too.
Yeah.
Dawson Knox is pretty tough, mentally and physically. So I'm expecting a lot from those guys. I love it. With that being said, let's get right to it. Last and certainly not least, we need a score prediction for the Bills and Bengals AFC divisional round. Swank, what's it going to be?
All right. I'm coming back down to earth a little bit, even though the Bills did put up quite a bit of points this last week. I went a little. I let the playoffs get the best of me last week, and I put them up in the 40s, and I'm going to come back down a little bit here, and I think make it a little more realistic. I do not think that this is going to be the crazy shootout that people are kind of building it up to be, because if you look at the second half of last week's game, Baltimore and the Bengals, uh, you look at them stat lines. Joe Burrow did not do a whole hell of a lot after the half, and without that return, the fumble return for a touchdown, that was going to be a pretty shaky game. And I think that the
Right.
Baltimore Ravens cannot stack up against the Buffalo Bills, especially in the state they were in last week. Um, so that being said, I'm going to go 35-28 Buffalo Bills.
35-28. I actually have the Bills in the 30s as well.
Oh, look at us being adults.
Being adults, great minds think alike. So I have the Bills winning this one 38-17.
Ooh, I like it.
And to my point earlier, I see some turnovers taking place. I see some ability for the Bills to pick some off, maybe strip, force some fumbles. Joe Mixon, maybe, he gets his due that I think he's due to have, where he talks a big game,
Ooh.
and I think he's due to eat some crow. So maybe he fumbles one as well. And I'm expecting the Bills to win this one, 38-17. We got some comments trickling in here as far as score predictions. Bobby Joe says 24-21.
Oh,
She also made a comment earlier that I wanted to address as far as the Bills trading Tremaine Edmonds. I
no,
don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so either.
She asked if the rumors are true that they were trading Tremaine Edmonds. To your point earlier, man, a guy that we really love on this team, Jordan Poyer. I think this is the end of the road for Jordan Poyer in Buffalo. I don't see him coming back. I didn't, even at the start of this season, that's one guy that I just don't see coming back. And he kind of put out a little bit of a piece on social media in regards to that, which kind of cemented that for me. And if Jordan Poyer goes, in terms of Brandon Bean and his contract wizardry, moving some money around, I think Tremaine Edmonds is going to get a fat contract from Brandon Bean. I do.
As as he should, I believe.
Right.
That whole defense runs through Tremaine, whether you guys realize it or not.
Right.
And he's still a young guy, and they like to draft, they like to groom, and they like to keep him. So uh, I would be excited about it. I'll also mention this really fast because the Jordan Poyer
Sure.
thing, it bums me out. Um, I heard Tasker talking on WGR yesterday, I believe, and somebody was asking about him and the video and all that stuff. And Tasker said that, this is not a situation like maybe casual Bills fans or people that just kind of, don't follow quite as closely as like maybe we do, or anybody else that's like really into it might think like, well, the Bills just don't want him. That's not the case. The Bills are going to offer him something. They're going to offer him what they can afford, what they project into the future, what his position is valued based on what their needs are. And I think Tasker said something that really made me think it's not up to the Bills whether he stays. The Bills are going to offer him a contract. It's up to Jordan. And as our boy Mark Maddox says all the time, players got to get paid in this league. If he thinks he's got a fat check waiting for him at the tail end of his career somewhere else, he might have to go chase that. And it's okay, man. Like
Hmm.
he's done a lot, but obviously all of us want to see him here. We love the dude.
Yeah,
You got
definitely.
you got to look at the facts on it. So
Hmm.
I think Bean will offer him what's fair and tell him do what you got to do, just like he does with every other player. But miracles have happened. Look at
They
these last
have.
couple seasons. We've re-signed everybody. We thought we were going to lose half the defense, half the offensive line, and all of a sudden, Bean can work his magic, and everybody's here. So we just have to,
Maybe Von Miller says, "Hey, I'll take a couple million less to keep Jordan Poyer."
yeah, why not?
Maybe Dawson Knox reconfigures his contract a little bit too. And those are two guys that we obviously signed as a free agent and extended this early in the season. So I agree with you. I do believe Jordan Poyer deserves to get a good 1 to 2 year deal to bookend his career. He's earned that. He's done a
Hmm.
lot for this team.
Yep.
I just really hope that he gets to end it here in Buffalo. And that would be ideal for me as a Bills fan as well as yourself. So,
Yeah.
and obviously losing that tandem of Poyer and Hyde, breaking that apart would be a tough pill to swallow. They really those two guys are really what started it. They
Yeah.
started it all in terms of where this team is today. So, pretty awesome stuff. I also got to ask you, Swank. We did this last week, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I love talking about the Bills, but to
Yeah.
end the show, we're going to do a full divisional round pick 'em
I like it.
for the teams that are I almost said available for the teams that are left. They're available to play because
Oh man.
they're still in the playoffs. They made it this far. This is the divisional picks for the AFC NFC divisional round, and we got the Jags and the Chiefs.
I'm really
Whoo!
I'm looking forward to this game
Me
a
too.
lot. And you know, it's hard for me to justify like that's why I never really completely got into college balls because it's like it's so hard for me to justify watching sports all day Saturday and all day Sunday. I got to get some honeydew stuff and some stuff done. So but today I'm making it a point like uh I literally can't wait for this game. And I'm really hoping it's not one of those ones where by like the beginning of the third quarter, you're like, damn it. Like I
Right.
think it's gonna be a good close game. Um and my pick is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm not trying to homer it. I am basing this completely off of the trajectory of these two teams. I know Andy Reid's record coming off buys. He's an amazing coach. Patrick Mahomes is an amazing talent. They've produced, even with losing arguably one of the best wide receivers in the league, definitely the fastest, right? Um, but look at the Cincinnati Bengals last year. The Cincinnati Bengals going to play the Kansas City Chiefs, an opponent that they're not very familiar with each other. They haven't physically played each other a lot. They went in there and they made that happen because they were the hot hand. The Chiefs came off a battling week with the Bills, and they had their number. And I think that this is kind of working itself up to be a similar situation. The Jags are one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. The Cinderella story, Trevor Lawrence, ETN, you got all these guys firing on all cylinders. That defense is nothing to, shake a stick at. And you're not that familiar with that opponent. So I think if any team that's left, besides obviously the big two that are playing tomorrow, right, in the AFC, I think the Jags got a fair shot to win this game, and I say they win.
I like how you put that. If any team outside of the Bills and Bengals played the Chiefs that could potentially beat them, I think you might have a point. I think it could be the Jags. I really do. I would love to see it for a lot of reasons. For all the reasons we talked about, the Buffalo Bills and them not getting their due. I feel like the Chiefs get too much of a due or too much credit.
Yeah.
Where the Chiefs really haven't been the same juggernaut that they were these last few years. I know they've had a great season, but there's a lot of close games that they won that they shouldn't have won.
Mhm.
The Chargers game that pops into my head, they lost to the Indianapolis Colts earlier in the season before
Yeah.
they fired Frank Reich. Um, and it showed kind of the chinks in the armor that they've lost a lot of speed, they've lost a lot of motion to their offense that they work off of really well with Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Hill being gone. I never thought that was a good move for the Chiefs. I didn't think it was a good move for Hill either. I'll
Yep.
never wrap my head around that trade. Of him just wanting more money and talking his way out of the Chiefs. Big mistake for him, big mistake for the Chiefs. More than anything, though, I did watch the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Chargers, and how down that team was in the first half. You could see it on their faces. And whatever was said at halftime, I don't know what Doug Peterson said to that team. And I know a lot of players say like halftime adjustments are bullshit, like they don't exist. All we do is just, sit in our lockers and drink Gatorade. I think Peyton Manning said that.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
don't really do many adjustments. You might not do adjustments on a dry erase board or on a chalkboard, but if you play like shit, your coach is going to get in the face of each and every player and say, "Wake the hell up." And I think that's exactly what happened. And the fact that Doug Peterson was able to do that in his first year with this team, they're a young team, and they responded. Did they ever respond? I mean, went 100, they were 100% the rest of that game en
Yeah.
route to a 1 point victory. So it seems like these guys believe in their coach. They believe in their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, who will throw him in there. Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lawrence, however you want to rank them is up to you. But for the sake of my ranking, I'd say Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lawrence. You could very well say Trevor Lawrence has been better than all of them the last 5 weeks. You could make
Yeah.
that case. Statistically, he has been.
Sure.
So I definitely feel like the Jags have a real shot at winning this game. I'm gonna pick the Chiefs because they are at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Andy Reid is a freight train of a man, not just for his width, but for his acumen as a play caller. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and just play devil's advocate. I do think the Chiefs can win, but I think it's gonna be a very close game. And watch out for Trevon Walker. This dude was the first overall pick for a reason. A lot of people scoffed at it. They ain't scoffing anymore. So that's a real fun game. That one's on at 4 o'clock, right?
Yeah. 4:30.
4:30. Okay. Giants and Eagles. That's the next one. The beloved Brian Dable on this show is just such a
Pissed me off.
such a coaching genius that to some that watch my show at least, they should name the NFL Coach of the Year award after Brian Dable. That's
Oh
what I
yeah.
feel like these people are saying, which
Sure.
blows my mind. If you didn't notice at home, folks, that I'm being 100% bullshit sarcastic, you know now. I don't
Oh,
understand.
man.
Everyone's like, well, Allen's regressed because Dable's gone. And look at Daniel Jones. Let's look at Daniel Jones. He's played probably 4 good games all year long because those are the only games that they really used him, the only
Mhm.
games that they needed to use him. They have an all-world running back and a decent defense. They're not winning these games because of Brian Dable's play calling genius. I don't understand where people are coming from with this. I don't get it. What are your thoughts?
Exactly what you're saying. I don't know, man. I watched that game last week and it was just, I don't know. I can't explain it. It literally is like every game that the Bills lost when Dable was the coordinator. I can't explain to you why it's absolutely Dable's fault. But at the time, nobody wanted to blame Dable. It's the same thing now. Everybody wants to give him credit for this amazing resurgence, and they are literally the lamest team to me outside of uh, our boy Isaiah Hodgins that went out there, and he's having a great
Yeah, he is.
second half. I'm so happy for him. That is so
Hmm.
great, man. Um, but Daniel Jones is the lame version of Josh Allen running the ball. You got these cute little things where he snakes out and he grabs a couple yards and whatever. You got this depleted wide receiving core, and you got Barkley, man,
Hmm.
and the whole offense runs through Barkley, and the whole defense. I mean, they're just good enough to be able to keep them in games.
Right.
I'll give them credit. Last weekend, it looked more well-rounded than normal, but Jesus, does Dable look surprised every time they do something good? Like, I swear to God, you
He
get the game,
does.
and you're just like, "Whoa, yeah," you know? Um, I got no faith in them. I still don't. I think, you know, they'll ride on this Josh Allen resume for him for, like, the next 2, 3 seasons, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, "Okay, well, maybe we were wrong,"
Right.
but I think the Eagles absolutely flattened them today.
And just because they beat the great Kirk Cousins in the NFC wild card round, I mean, holy shit.
Yeah.
I can't get it. I can't get over that enough. The fact that they beat Minnesota, who was a fraud. Like the Minnesota Vikings were a fraud the whole season. Like Justin Jefferson, phenomenal player. But what was the record? 12-4 or how double digit
Yeah.
wins for the season, more than 10. They had more than 10 one score wins.
Mhm.
So let's just say they had only won like half of those and they didn't have luck on their side 10 times out of 10 essentially. They're not even in the playoffs. They're not even a playoff team
Nope.
mathematically. So to me, I think the Giants will throw this out there too. The fact that this NFC bracket has not one, not two, but three teams in the NFC East in this bracket just goes
Insane.
to show you what a joke the NFC has become. I hate to say it. I hate to. It's just three teams from one division in the playoffs, and the worst one out of the three teams is the Giants. It's not even
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
It's I don't get it. I
The
don't get it.
Commanders were playing better football at the end of the season.
They
They didn't
were.
make it in.
They were.
Uh,
Taylor Heineke was playing better than Daniel Jones
yeah,
at
oh, yeah,
that time.
yeah.
It's just it blows my mind. I think that this is going to be a one-sided ass whooping. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to beat the tar out of the New York Giants, and I think if I were to put a score prediction on it, it's definitely double digits, but I think the Eagles could have a 4 in front of their score,
Oh, yeah.
and the Giants could have a 1. Like I could see like 41-10, something just embarrassing because I think the Giants are in way over their head. This Disney story movie that they feel like they're the stars of.
Little Giants, man. Little
Yes,
Giants.
it's gonna come to an end. So you got the Eagles in this one.
Oh, yeah.
I got the Eagles as well. So the Sunday slate, we went over the Bills and Bengals. You got them winning, the Bills winning. I got the Bills winning as well, which brings me to my next one, the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers, another chapter of a very storied rivalry, mind you,
Yeah.
between these two teams. A lot of great classic games that we've seen from these two teams sharing the field together. This is the next one because the last time both of these teams were in the playoffs last year, the 49ers were able to knock the Cowboys out. Can they do it again? Dallas feels like they got a little bit more mojo, a little bit more swagger after that dominant win over Tampa Bay where they looked like a freight train. But then again, you're playing a quarterback that's almost 50 and you're playing a defense that looked like they never played defense before. So, what are your thoughts on the Cowboys' chances and what are your thoughts on the 49ers? What are your thoughts on this game, Swing?
Uh, I'm going to go back to what I was saying last week when we talked about the Cowboys and the Bucks game. And I think I picked, did I pick I think I picked the Cowboys to squeak it out. I can't remember. I don't like either of these teams, you know. Um, I think all my reasoning for last week, I'm gonna transfer up to this week for why the Cowboys are gonna lose this game. I'm gonna pick the 49ers. I don't have faith in Dak. I think you get, one guy or the other. We talked about fantasy scoring last year or this last season, and he's just up and down. I think CD is amazing. I think Pollard's amazing. Micah Parsons is a dog. I mean, there's a lot of great elements, but I think the 49ers are just such a well-oiled machine. They're so well coached. They have such great schemes. You can put a seventh round third string rookie in there and have him running the offense like goddamn Peyton Manning. And you got, we talked about it earlier, right? With the Debo Samuels, you got Christian McCaffrey, you got Ayuk, you got,
George Kittle,
Kittle, you
man,
got all these
damn,
dogs on offense and
dogs.
a kid that can throw the ball and is excited. I mean, I don't know. I would say that maybe the inexperience in the playoffs for Brock might shake him up, but the Cowboys don't have much experience in the playoffs either. So,
No,
I
you're
mean,
right.
I think I'm going Niners all the way on this, man. They're just the hot hand.
It's such a crazy game to break down because the 49ers have been unstoppable the last 10, 11 weeks. They went from Trey Lance starting the season, high pick, guy very similar to Josh Allen. You mentioned Josh Allen kind of changed the way teams look at quarterbacks, and I kind of threw it out there that he's changing the way the quarterback position's played. I felt like Trey Lance was like that next version of Josh Allen, and unfortunately he got hurt. I believe in the guy. I think he can be good. Jimmy Garoppolo comes in, you know what he brings to the table. It's a little bit of this and not much of that. That's
Mhm.
kind of his game. But this Brock Purdy kid, dude, I don't know what you would do if I was Kyle Shanahan. I'd be like, oh my god, I have the greatest problem that anybody has
Yeah.
ever had. Now he knows a little bit, and I'm not saying it in terms of Brock Purdy being the next Tom Brady, but the only coach to really experience anything like this was back when New England went from Bledsoe to Brady. That this guy's playing so good, he's playing so confident, he's making throws, and you watch his game. It's not a fluke that he's playing this well. He is good. This guy can definitely play.
Yeah.
I question whether or not Kyle Shanahan could ever bench this kid after he's played this well. I read a report today that they're expecting Jimmy Garoppolo back next week, possibly. Man, I feel like that would be horrible if Brock Purdy got
So
benched after beating Dallas. And that's what I think is going to happen. If there's any defense, to your point, that
yeah,
might be able to rattle Brock Purdy, it's the Cowboys. But if Brock Purdy outplays Dak Prescott, what does Jerry Jones do? What does Jerry Jones do this offseason?
he
Who
doubles
get
down.
who
Doubles down
gets?
on Dak. That's what he'll do.
Do you think so?
He doesn't like to be wrong, man.
That's
I think
true.
I think that's the whole thing is like he's going to get a shot, and he can blame the injury he had earlier in the season and all that stuff, right? Like, I mean,
He'll blame he'll
Cooper
blame like
Rush
the
was almost
rain.
Brock Purdy.
Right, that's true. Oh my God. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what he'd do. He's so senile now that he'd be like, well, we'll just put Cooper Rush in, and this is the guy. And it's just like, oh my God.
Tom Brady he'll be available. Why not?
Oh
Sometimes he
my
does.
God. Oh, I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked if Dak Prescott lays an egg against the San Francisco 49ers, which their defense, San Fran's defense,
We haven't even talked about it. Yeah.
they're nasty.
Yeah.
They're vicious. Bosa is a machine.
Yep.
Probably doing his best J.J. Watt impersonation. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like this guy's the next one. So I definitely like the 49ers in this one. I think it's going to be a real close game, though. Shout out to you, who you mentioned, Micah Parsons, probably one of the best linebackers we've seen in the last 10
Yeah.
years, probably since Vaughn, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
in terms of a pass rusher as well. So yeah, man, I agree. We are locked in, with our picks. 49ers, Eagles. Uh, I did say the Chiefs, but God, please, let the Bills win and
Yep.
let the Jacksonville Jaguars win, and let's go win an AFC championship in front of our home crowd. Let's do
Yes,
that, right?
sir. If that happens, I'm going to be there.
Oh, I'm gonna be there too. I'm not
Yeah,
missing
buddy.
that. I'm
Yeah.
not missing that.
I had a question for you, RT, real quick.
Sure, yeah.
So we're talking about all this, the heavyweight side of the AFC, right? And how one sided really the NFL is leaning towards the AFC. Not speculating, not trying to get a hold of myself here or ahead of myself, but out of these four on the NFC side, who would you be most afraid of giving us a hard time?
Man, it's either Philly or San Fran.
Yep.
To me, I would say Philly only because Jalen Hurts could probably win the MVP this year. There's a case there to be made.
Sure.
San Fran, oh man, it's tough because if you put Jalen Hurts on the San Francisco 49ers, I'd I would just be like, wow,
Mhm.
that's an awesome team. Brock Purdy, despite what I said about him, the Super Bowl spotlight might be the
Different.
moment where he could crack, and
Mhm.
we see the chinks in the armor. Typically, that's what happens when a young quarterback takes the spotlight in a Super Bowl. It usually doesn't go well. But if you were to ask me what one team, I would probably say San Francisco because of Debo Samuel, because of George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. And that's what I picked actually prior to the season starting. I didn't know these injuries would happen, but I was so confident that Trey Lance was going to do big things for San Fran that I picked San Fran in the NFC and I picked Buffalo in the AFC and Buffalo winning that Super Bowl. So I'm going to stick to that. Battle of the 90s teams, the Bills in the AFC and the San Fran 49ers in the NFC. I think that that's what we could see.
Yeah, the Berman Bowl, man. That was actually my pick at the beginning of the season too. I wanted that '90s throwback, beautiful San Fran versus Florida.
It should have happened, to
Yeah,
be honest. Should have
yeah,
happened in the early 90s, but it didn't.
yeah. The Cowboys were the 49ers Chiefs to our Bills, I think,
Yes.
at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, yeah. And Dion went from the 49ers to the Cowboys and won 2 Super Bowls back to back when Dallas won that one against Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking crazy. I love me some Dion though.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
for sure. That's for sure. Well, Swank, man, it was awesome having you on the show once again. Hopefully, we can do this again next week to where we're discussing the Bills beating down the Bengals,
Hell yeah.
and we're previewing the AFC Championship game, whether it's in Atlanta or in Orchard Park, remains to be
I know.
seen. But we'll find out. Find out, right?
You're raising my blood pressure already, man. Yeah, it's Sunday.
So I got to throw this out there. So stupid that they put that game in Atlanta. Put it in Detroit. Come on.
Well, they said what Detroit had something else going on, like I don't know. It was
Monster
probably
Truck
like
Derby or something like
an
that.
RV show or something.
The Ford Truck Show or something
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Hey,
It's a boat
no
show.
problem. No problem. They're our second home. We're undefeated there these last
Yeah.
few years. So
That's why it wouldn't have been neutral, right? Because we already
right.
got a winning record out there.
Exactly. Well, take care, buddy. I look forward to chatting with you soon.
Hell yeah, you
And
too, brother.
folks,
Thanks.
folks, that was the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Swank, fire off at Go Bills for me to end the show.
Go Bills!
You heard him. Sunday, 3 o'clock, Bills, Bengals. Let's go, Bills. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the game tomorrow.